What's up, YouTube? Don from Rest to Live here, and we are checking in after one completed week of our 2022 options 100K challenge. And again, our goal here is to make 100K by selling options for income in the market. I'm going to show you the results. I'm going to show you some pricing. I'm going to show you some things that happened. But before I do, I really want to talk about the two things we're going to cover in this video. Number one, the good. We far exceeded our goals for option income in week one, actually blew the number out of the water. Two, I got absolutely spanked and crushed last week with the fall in the market due to some of the news that came out of the Fed around the minutes. So let's jump right on in and not waste any time and make this a quick video for everybody. So I'm just going to share my screen quickly here. You should now be seeing my spreadsheet. I'm going to zoom on in for everybody. So week one, my goal was to get about $100 in total option premium. As you can see here, the opportunities were actually much stronger than normal. I was heavily looking at tech stocks, which is what got me spanked later on, frankly. But you can see here against a goal of $100, I actually pulled in 930 for the week. That's awesome. 930 a week generates a massive income just in general. That's approaching 48K a year or 45K a year, give or take, if I could just maintain that across the entire board here. But we know that that's not what we're looking for. And additionally, in what's really going to be an interesting explanation here, part of the reason why I created such a wide range of buffer and growth was I knew there would be some weeks that would be really strong, and I knew there would be weeks I'd have really no results whatsoever. So this is good because I wasn't expecting to crack $900 until week 18. But this said, now if I need a couple weeks to recover from the pretty tough crash we took in the markets this past week, I've got that buffer now. So again, on a week one total actual income from selling puts, I came in at $930. So plus 830 to what my goal was. On the year, of course, I'm just about 1% of my target. So again, not a terrible thing. We got a lot of work to do though. Let's talk about what actually happened and what I bought. So I'm trying to make this easy to see on a phone. So I made 6 total trades last week. All 6 were selling of puts. I primarily focused on Square or Block. I looked at SoFi, and then I made 1 Twitter trade. Now, before I say anything, I want to call out here that I felt very good about where these things were. I felt like I had good directionality on it. I was looking at all of my Greeks as far as like what was going to happen for the week. So there weren't a lot of concerns from my perspective at first around really seeing big drops or anything too wild here. I gave myself quite a bit of buffer, and I'll show you this in a second here as well. But over here in our final category, I was assigned all 6 of these contracts. What that means is I now own 600 shares of stock across these 3 different equities. So of course, this is why you want to make sure you have plenty of cash to work with. You have plenty of room in your portfolio to take this risk on. I did. My number one goal through this entire exercise is always ensuring both I can completely cover all these trades, and even if I get assigned, I have plenty more room, excuse me, to keep trading until I get rid of these positions or decide what to do with them. So as you can see, a couple of quick examples. On Monday the 3rd, I jumped right on into the boat. I sold a Square and a SoFi. Look at these pretty good premiums here, right? Square's premium was about $163. The strike price I was going for was $157.50. And at the time of that trade, the current share price was $162. So, a little bit better than $5 or $6 here of room for this thing to move. And I felt great about that. It was a good day for Square overall. I was tracking it towards lunchtime. This is typically what I like to do on Mondays. That's why I bought it there. Same thing with SoFi. My strike price was $15.50, and my current share price was $15.83. So I was giving myself some breathing room here for some movement. And I've been tracking SoFi for a long time. I own quite a bit of SoFi also outside of this trade. And this just really felt like we were getting towards a bottom here. There was a lot of news coming out about a bank charter, about things that were happening in and around the stock. So just to give you an idea of where my mindset is as I was thinking about these, that's what was going on. As you can see here, the prices started to slide, and I saw the premiums looking pretty good. So what I did is to bring my sort of average cost down, thinking about the market still being strong in the first week of January, I jumped back into Square again for a much bigger premium. And this time, same kind of play, right? My strike was at 150, down from the 157.50. And my current share price at the time was 153. So again, assuming we're not going to fall too much more from there, same story with SoFi. I jumped into Twitter because there's just been some general news out there. It's pretty stable. I like the price I was getting, and I also like the risk profile I could grab. This was one where I just liked the play here. I think there's a huge amount of growth in Twitter. I was taking the assumption that I didn't mind if I got assigned this because I would be very confident that I could sell calls against this. And then finally, you can see here, I took a big swing at Square towards the end of the week. This is on Wednesday. I grabbed $419 of premium. And my strike was now down to 155 at a price of 155.45. This was not an accident. At this point, I realized what was going on in the market. So what I want to do is basically round out my position, bring some of that leveling down, and take a big premium with it so I could have a little bit of action here to help me buy those discounts in when I get assigned these stocks. So all in all, this was basically a complete bloodbath. I was assigned all of these positions. But the good news is I already had a plan in place for this. My goal will be to sell calls against all these Monday morning. Twitter, I feel very confident we're going to get some good pricing on. SoFi and Square, I'm going to break up my calls based on where the different premiums are and try to maximize on that. Again, the good news here is, excuse me, I'm only targeting 225 for week 2. So just by selling these calls, I should get pretty close to that number. And then hopefully we'll get all these will end up being executed on as calls. If not, I'll do the same thing the following week. I also plan to pick up a few more put trades or put sales here next week as well. I've got some buffer in my available capital, of course. So that's pretty much where we are. So in a nutshell, absolutely crushed it on week 1 from a standpoint of actual income. I don't mind being assigned these shares because I think there's a lot of volatility in them. I think there's a lot of room for them to go up and down anyways when we're taking these sort of like high movement stocks like a SoFi or a Square. And I also think that they're both being affected by Bitcoin being down. So these are all kind of risks I build in here. What I'm also going to show in some of the weeks ahead is how I do this against stocks that don't move like tech stocks. So the triple M's, the J&J. And then also over time, I want to show you guys how I do this for very high price stocks when the time is right. You know, we might be looking at things like, Tesla, for example, right? What kind of premiums we get on that. That's really a bigger risk and one that I'll take later on down the road here. I do want to call out, I have a good friend who got called on some Amazon puts that he was selling. He's a professional trader, does very, very well selling puts in the market as part of his overall strategy. He took like a 600K assignment as like that overnight. So he's in the same boat, but times quite a bit more. So I just want to call that out that there's all levels of this happening. So whether your goal is to make $50 a week or $10 a week or 100 or any number, it's very doable once you learn how to do this the right way, as long as you understand the risk of assignment and the risk of the capital in your portfolio. So with that, I'm not going to go too much further. I think that's what I wanted to cover today. I'm looking forward to Monday morning so I can get some of these calls written against these plays. I won't do it first thing. I want to see what direction the market's looking like it's going to take. There's a lot of information coming out in and around Omicron, in and around the Fed, in and around the minutes. There's some talk of a balance sheet runoff, which if you're not sure what that is, that essentially means we're just going to basically let the bonds that we bought sort of just come to not be replaced by new bonds, essentially, on that balance sheet. So we're looking for a good week next week. I think 225 is going to be very doable. And what I really want to get across here as you're thinking about this is really meant to be something that will generate just another stream of income on top of what's already going on. So I'll give you a perfect real world example here. Excluding, my primary sources of income, if you were just to look at this from a standpoint of financial independence or early retirement or even in regular retirement, if I can generate just sums of, $250 a week to get to $1,000 a month and get to $1,000 a month in dividends, and maybe I've got a rental property or two and have $1,000 a month net there, right? You start stacking those G's up, and before you know it, you've got a nice solid full-time income over time getting built up here. And the longer you can let those things build onto themselves, the better it's going to be. Now, what I'm doing here is obviously a very accelerated version of that I wanted everyone to get a feel for. But instead of weeks, these could be months. These could even be years. So keep that in mind that there's many different ways to think about how you stack and grow your money in different ways. And with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it a video. I don't want to make it too long. I want to get to the point. I think next week we're going to have a lot more to talk about. But I'm going to end it with this. I got absolutely spanked with the assignments, but overall I'm pretty happy with the income premium that I got. And even with that price differential, I can still sell calls and make some more money here in the following week because of the size of these positions. So with that, thanks so much for watching. If you're still watching, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Otherwise, have a good week ahead, and thanks so much. Bye, everybody.